Hi, everybody. It's that time again, time for the Awaken Way podcast. I'm so glad you could join us. I love our community that joins live every week when we put up a new episode. And those of you who watch us later, you're just as much a part of our community. This week is some curated content from one of my monthly connection webinars, thanks to my wonderful assistant, Christy. Christy is so tuned in. She chose a subject that is very near and dear to me right now, all about self-healing that comes about when we realize who we really are and heal ourselves from the inside out. Some of you may have seen this in the original Monthly Connection webinar. If you did, I hope you'll enjoy hearing it all over again, just like I did, and gain new insights and get back into practicing the kinds of things that Spirit shares with us through this content. You'll also enjoy a nice meditation. So sit back, relax, enjoy. And once again, thank you for joining us. Okay, we talked about a technique that will empower you to heal yourself when you are feeling unworthy or unloved. I've shared this with a couple people already, and it may seem silly. You may be surprised with what I'm going to teach you, but I have personally seen my own healing take place in leaps and bounds in just the last month since I've been doing this practice. It was so obvious to me just this past week, and I know why, and that's why I'm sharing it with you all. In my interviews with Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, we did part 1 of my podcast a couple weeks ago. Part 2 will come up 2 weeks from yesterday. She talked about these little characters inside of us. And one of them is very much like the old therapy that talked about the wounded child. Brenda said from across the veil, every one of your human stories carries wounds. The soul is perfectly fine, but we're all walking wounded. Everybody carries different level of trauma. And a lot of it, the vast majority, my guides say, occurred before age 7. Because we come in here as these whole souls, all joyful, seeing and knowing our connection, and we start interacting with humans who have forgotten who we are. And they cause us to act in ways that are not natural to us, to stuff down our feelings, to not express who we are. They tell us to not do this and don't do that when we just want to be joyful. And just that alone can cause us to dim our light. So there's this little part in us that doesn't feel appreciated, that may not feel worthy. And then we go through life and we do things, and culture says you should be ashamed of that activity, even though there was a good reason for you doing some silly things sometimes, because you were doing it out of self-protection and to try to get love, right? Can't we all relate to that? So when you see behaviors in yourself now that are caused by any pain from the past, that's probably this that goes back to the inner child stuff, inner child wounds. But see, you being part of this Awaken Way community means you now understand you can empower yourself to make this very important shift, like the Awaken Way book teaches, to the soul's point of view. You're not only human, you are a soul. Your soul has always known this, even when you were wounded, but now you can shift perspective and be the soul, which is always loving and compassionate and kind and never judges you. So we all go out and do silly things looking for ways to not feel the shame and the guilt, and looking for appreciation when it's right here in you. And we can separate the two, the wounded self and the soul, and have conversations. This is the healing technique. But it's one thing to talk to yourself. It's another thing to totally love that wounded part of you. And I don't know who it was in spirit that gave me this idea. Sanaya just said it was all of us. But I was on the road coming here to where I am now, And they say, go out and get yourself the plushest little stuffed animal you can find and make sure it's really snuggly and soft. And I said, well, I already have these beautiful snuggly little dogs that I love with all my heart. And they said, yeah, and somebody mentions treat and they run away. You know, they're not going to be as focused on you as a little stuffed animal that you can hold, because we want you to take it into meditation. So I'll show you what I found. I went out. Now, if we have men listening, this is a stereotype. If we have professionals like doctors, physicians, psychiatrists, who we always have people from all walks of life in our Awaken Way community, please watch that adult side of you right now that may be saying, oh, I can't do that. I'm above that. That's the human side. There is within all of us a little child right now that just wants your love so badly, and this is a way to get it. So I went out and I found this little toy. It is so soft. And now, see, you're not seeing the commander now, right? I could turn into the commander in a heartbeat. This little toy has been with me in meditation maybe 10 times since I got it. And the technique is to sit with it and feel and stroke it and make this your surrogate wounded part. But this is the fascinating part. Don't assume you know what he or she is going to tell you. Go into an expanded state of consciousness. Use my Bless Me method of breathing and lifting your vibration and expanding. And now, using this as a surrogate, and hold it, ask it, why was I triggered last night? Or why did I go head for those sweets this morning? Or why am I feeling so out of balance right now? Does it have anything to do with you? And then just listen. I've been shocked at the voice that I hear. Oh, really? But here's the difference. Once we know we're souls, as the soul, you can parent this aspect of you that didn't feel that unconditional love when it was wounded. And you assure this part of you, I've grown up and you can grow up now. And I love you so much. The key is assuring this part of you, you are safe. You are loved. It's huge. And you work with this in meditation and you say, can you feel that safety, that love? Will you allow me to give that to you? I am going to be here for you day after day, moment by moment, whenever you need me. What else do you need from me? And you listen. So you become your own therapist. I also went out and got this guy. I'm taking him on the Mediterranean cruise with me. He's more packable. I held him on the right side one day and I couldn't generate the same kind of tender feelings as I could holding the other one on the left side. So I asked in meditation, what's that all about? And we got some right brain, left brain lessons that came in. They were my particular lessons, but I hope you'll see that this practice, when you make them surrogates, and it actually gets the oxytocin hormone flowing in you. That's the pleasure hormone that we get when we pet animals. That's why it's so important to hold these animals, because it's going to generate that beautiful hormone of pleasure and love in you. And once you start feeling it, now even more healing will take place. So where I saw the big difference in me was Ty and I went away in our bus over the 4th of July holiday for just a couple of days, and we had several malfunctions, several things going wrong. Ty was in mission mode, very serious, and he kept asking me to do things when I wanted to do other things, and I normally would bristle, and I just kept saying, okay, honey, yes, dear, all right, honey. Everything just flowed right off of me. My human reactions were so different and noticeable to me. It was genuine. because I already knew I was safe and loved. He didn't have to be pleasant. He was in mission mode. He didn't have to be loving to me. He was doing his thing, and I didn't need that, because that little part in me that always made me snappy in situations like that, over time has learned in just a few short weeks, we are whole already. We are safe and loved. Wow. So I really hope you will do this. And I hope you will get a stuffed animal. I'm leading a year-long part of the year-long certificate program with the Shift Network in Mediumship. And I asked everybody to get an animal, practicing mediums. Why? Because the more we heal our inner stuff and come to know we're already whole and come from that place, that allows the flow of the life force through us. We become better instruments, clearer instruments for spirit to use. And my guides just said, and the love flows more readily. When you know you're safe and protected, there's no wall to drop. Okay? The walls come down. Beautiful lesson. How easily does your mind wander when you meditate? I'm telling you, mine still does, depending on how busy I am during the day. So a very good technique, I've shared this one in the past, but there's more to this little section here. A very good way, if you're listening to a guided meditation, like my HemiSync recordings or my 10-minute transformation chakra clearing meditation. If you don't know about that one, run, don't walk to the gifts page on my website, 10-minute transformation. I use it myself when I'm off balance and need to clear my energy centers, but my mind can sometimes wander by the time I get to the third or fourth chakra. So the technique is to repeat the words you're hearing in the guided meditation as you hear them. So as I say, visualize yourself sitting in a shaft of white light. You can repeat those exact words, or you can make them your own. I am visualizing myself sitting in a shaft of white light. And now move your awareness to the base of the spine. I am moving my awareness to the base of the spine. So now by speaking, you're totally immersing yourself in the experience. You're sedating that left side of the brain, even though you're using language. You're flowing more with the experience. So that's great for guided meditations. Equally important to not let your mind wander when you start is start with a very clear intention. State it to yourself and your guides who are always with you, whether or not your meditation is to connect with guides. I would say, for example, and talking to your guides right off the bat is an outstanding practice. Good morning, team. I'm here this morning to hear whatever you have to share with me, or I'm looking forward to getting some advice on this issue, and then I'd like to receive the daily message for the app. I state my intention every time, and that right away sends out to the universe the awareness that you're not sitting there alone. And it focuses your attention. Just do that with me for a moment here, okay? Just imagine you're going to sit to meditate, and I would like you to just take a nice, deep, relaxing breath. Exhale longer than you inhale. And what kind of intention might you state tomorrow morning when you're going to sit for at least 3 minutes to meditate? What would be your reason for doing so? And then direct your attention to your guides and ask them to work with you. Send them a little love. And then you can open your eyes now. Then you would just slide right into your meditation. My guides deliberately told me to do that recently, I guess because I've been busier than ever. And they're just saying this is a great way to get focused, shift your focus, state that intention clearly, and talk to us. So I hope that's helpful to all of you. What do you say we do a healing session like we've done in the past, using that practice and send healing out to each other for a few minutes here, knowing that in doing so, you are receiving healing from hundreds of people. How awesome is that? Even if we only have half of the group here live, it doesn't matter. Even as you listen later, you're part of this intended sphere, this soul group here. So I especially want to send healing energy to Beth and anybody else who is needing physical healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing, right? So I'm asking the guides which way we should do it. They say, let them do it themselves. Okay, so we're going to get quiet and then so I'd like you to set an intention, stating it silently in words. I intend to, or my intention is, and then talk to your guides to join you in sending healing energy. You can hold your hands up to send it out or just send it from your heart. And then at some point, Sanaya will begin speaking and give you whatever message they have for you this evening. I have no idea what it is, but we'll let them talk and then we'll all come back into current awareness. All right, so begin now by silently just take a nice relaxing breath, right? The vagus nerve breath, breathe in slowly through the nose and exhale very slowly and longer through the mouth, thoroughly relaxing, and then state your intention and work with your guides and send the healing. Here we go. Good evening, beloved friends. And know that your energy has been received by all those present and beyond, for the web does connect all of you, not just those who were the intended recipients of your energy. And as we have taught in the past, you can now turn off that energy so that you do not feel a drain. You do not need to keep it going. We wish to tell you that those in the spirit world are keeping it going for you. It is coming through all of you. You are indeed receiving a transmission of higher energy. It is a just reward for your commitment and dedication to raising your consciousness, which is not to say that those who are not part of this gathering are bereft of this energy. We are tasked with sending the higher energy to all of you so that you do not feel lost, so that you do not feel alone, so that you can feel the raising of consciousness, which is indeed being imbued amongst all of you. We wish to tell you that to further the answer to a previous question about our involvement in answering questions, we wish all of you to know that all of your words are equally inspired. You can differentiate between human answers and those that come from spirit. Indeed, there is an energy, but please get in the habit of thinking in terms of oneness. Where does the human consciousness end and the spirit consciousness begin? There is no delineation, no one point. It is a constant ongoing flow. It is merely a matter of harnessing your intention and bringing more of that flow into conscious awareness so that the words, which are naught but consciousness in expression, flow from the highest levels and are not restricted. What we are saying in short is you cannot not be speaking the words of the soul and of your guides. It is all one. You are all one. Ultimately, hear us well. There is only one soul. And we are asking this one to open her eyes now so that you can see her speaking as a human being and yet holding awareness of the one soul that unites all of you. And we continue speaking with our quite strange accent so that you know this is fully us now, and yet cannot be separated from the story and the one you know as Suzanne. But in a moment, we will step back a bit, lower the vibration a bit, change the voice so that as Suzanne speaks to you, you will at your human level say, oh, she is back now. And yet she has not gone anywhere, just like none of you go anywhere when you pass from these bodies. The flow of the life force of the one soul continues for all eternity. This, dear friends, is love. And so we take our leave now, but do you now understand that we can never leave you? Love is always present, which is why you are so very loved. God, I wish you could feel that. It's just a high. Oh, they said you did feel that. Beautiful. Wow. What a great message, huh? I see the perfection in this. I have another acronym here in front of me that I have moved forward for probably 5 monthly connections. It was given to me months ago, and we just didn't get to it, or the time just wasn't right. And they're saying the time is right now. And it is a beautiful way to embody the soul when you're interacting with someone else who may be a little clouded over, who may not remember who we are. In other words, they're pushing your buttons, or they're acting in a way that's a little less human than would be comfortable. There's nothing wrong with it. We do that as humans. But if you can remember to hear them, that's the acronym, HEAR. That's what all of us really want, to be heard, right? And so when somebody's acting out and not being particularly kind or loving, they just want to be heard. So when we can hear someone from our soul perspective and make that shift, it's a choice we make. We can respond snarky and be very human and say things that show we're not really hearing their cry for help through their actions or words. Then we haven't made that shift. But once you start doing this regularly, living the awakened way, you say, wait, there's a better way. I'm going to use that acronym. So to hear means to be with someone with humility, which may be the last thing that came to mind at the moment. But it's not humble to say, I need to be right, you're wrong. The soul doesn't care who's right or wrong. The soul just wants to love each other. And they may be very much that other person who's really not separate from you could be wrong about something. But in the spirit world, there's no right or wrong. There are just perspectives. See? So if we have humility, we can say, does it matter? Let them express their story. I'm going to send them love. That takes humility. If you listen to the Journey of Remembrance recording on the gifts page of my website, it says that humility is one of the sacred 7 aspects of the soul. So if you truly want to hear somebody in a situation where you're challenged, maybe an acute situation or an ongoing relationship challenge, become humble and ask your guides, how would humility express itself now? What does humility feel like? How does humility act? And to me, it's a surrendering. It's a letting down the wall. It's setting the commander aside and saying, maybe I really haven't been listening to you. Humility. The E in hearing is empathy. And empathy comes from realizing we're all human and we almost all share the same experiences at some point in our life, because everything is possible within each of us. And we can say, I would never do that. I would never act like that. And one day you'll find yourself doing that. Empathy says, I can at least understand why they're feeling that way or why they're saying it. There are times when you might say, I just can't understand that. But at the soul level, you do. That's the key to this acronym of hearing someone from the soul's perspective. You will find that empathy. A is appreciate, have appreciation for what they're going through, why they're coming that way. You know, we actually, until we can learn to walk in someone's other shoes, may not actually understand. I did a reading in person here this morning, I told you, and it was from somebody new where I live here. I never would have expected what came through in that reading. That person's relationship with the loved one that came through in spirit. People have trauma, right? And it comes out in a reading. And my client said to me, boy, you really learn a lot about people, don't you? And I said, like that. And then you really appreciate why we act out sometimes. But it's often hard to have that appreciation until we shift to the soul's perspective. So imagine what you start radiating when you are at least appreciating that they're hurting instead of, why the hell are you acting like that? See, that's a human response. And the R is respect. And the soul respects all souls, no matter what. Because the soul sees the soul in the other person. And we are all worthy of respect. I don't mean to sound preachy. I hope I don't. I hope that we're just, reminding each other of what we all know. But when we get like this, knocking heads with somebody, or they're radiating energy that's not coming from the soul because they've forgotten who they are, maybe they haven't learned that lesson yet, or we just respect both the human and the spirit side. This is an acronym that was absolutely downloaded to me from spirit, so I'm not coming from some righteous place either. I have put it into action for months now, and it will just change what you radiate in an instant, and watch how it changes the reaction of those around you. They will feel heard. They will feel seen. Just yesterday, my guides added the letter C to the beginning. See and hear. C standing for compassion. But I don't want to muddle things too much. But we're always growing, always adding new tools, which is why we can meet month after month here. I love this. Sometimes I say, how are we gonna get new teaching? Because we are limitless beings. You are so loved. There is, these human things that we express. Please don't beat yourselves up. Just commit yourself to living the awakened way. It's not processes and steps. It's processes within processes, steps within steps, but there's no one way. It's just following the soul. I have tons of acronyms and they all feed into the awakened way. It's just making that shift from the human way to the soul's perspective. And I love how Sanaya has really started sharing. Ultimately, it's just one soul with souls within souls within souls. What is a soul? What is a soul? Formless consciousness that forms a pattern that's identifiable. Okay, you're all beautiful souls. Don't you ever doubt it. And it's your soul that called you here. And so we'll end again just a few minutes early because the commander doesn't have to be in charge anymore and say we have to fill up every minute. My guides are saying that is just a really good note to end on. I see all of you at the soul level. May it continue to be that way. May we all learn to live this way and radiate this, hearing others so that their souls awaken from your beautiful energy. We are so connected. That's how we make a difference. Work on ourselves first. I love you all so much. Thank you for joining us. Sending love to all of you. You're just precious. Good night.